The sun rose over Earth, casting a warm glow across the blue planet. People went about their daily lives unaware of the storm that was about to come. The sky was clear, but deep in space, a massive fleet of ships approached. This fleet belonged to the Galactic Empire, a powerful force that had conquered many worlds. They had heard of Earth and wanted it for themselves. On the planet, Dr. Alara Quinn was hard at work in her lab. She was a brilliant scientist, known for her innovative ideas and inventions. For years, she had been developing a secret weapon called the Time Dilation Cannon. This weapon could control time itself, slowing down anything caught in its beam. But Alara was worried. The Empire was ruthless, and she feared they would come for Earth. Meanwhile, the Empire's fleet entered Earth's atmosphere. The ships were enormous, with dark metal hulls that gleamed in the sunlight. They looked like giant birds of prey ready to swoop down on their unsuspecting target. The Empire's commander, General Zarek, stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the planet grow larger. He believed that conquering Earth would be easy. "Prepare the landing teams," he ordered, his voice cold and confident. "We will show these humans who is in charge." As the Empire's ships descended, people on Earth began to notice. Reports flooded in about strange objects in the sky. Children pointed and adults looked up in fear. News channels broke into regular programming to announce the arrival of the Empire. Panic spread through cities as people rushed to find safety. The government scrambled to respond, but they had little idea of how to face such a powerful enemy. In the heart of the chaos, Ilara worked tirelessly. She understood the gravity of the situation. "We need to show them we are not weak," she said to her team of scientists. They gathered around her, their faces filled with worry. "The time dilation cannon is our only hope. If we can activate it in time, we might stand a chance." The team nodded, determination shining in their eyes. As the Empire's ships landed, they unleashed a show of force. Troops marched out, clad in shiny armor, their weapons ready. The Empire had come with one purpose, to claim Earth. General Zarek stepped onto the planet's surface, his expression a mix of arrogance and disdain. "Humans!" he shouted, his voice booming across the landscape. "You are now under the rule of the Galactic Empire. Surrender, and you may keep your lives." People watched in horror as the Empire's soldiers advanced. Fear gripped the hearts of many, but there were also whispers of defiance. A small group of brave individuals gathered in a park, determined to resist. "We can't let them take our home," one man said, his voice steady. "We must fight back." Back in the lab, Alara and her team worked day and night to get the cannon ready. The device was large and complex, filled with wires and glowing screens. "We can't let them succeed," she said, her fingers flying over the controls. "We have to be ready for whatever comes next." Her passion inspired her team, and they pushed themselves to the limit. As night fell, the sky lit up with explosions. The Empire had begun to attack major cities, showing their power. Buildings crumbled and people ran for cover. Alara watched the chaos unfold on the screens in her lab, her heart racing. "We need to activate the cannon now," she urged her team. "We must show the Empire that Earth will not go down without a fight." With the cannon finally ready, Alara took a deep breath. This was their moment. If they could just demonstrate the power of the time dilation cannon, they might turn the tide. The fate of humanity rested on their shoulders. As the Empire continued its assault, a new spark of hope ignited within the hearts of the humans. They were not just going to surrender, they would fight back. And as Ilara prepared to unleash their secret weapon, she felt a surge of determination. The Galactic Empire would soon learn that Earth was not an easy target. The battle for their home was about to begin. The chaos in the streets of Earth continued to grow. The Galactic Empire's ships hovered ominously in the sky, their dark silhouettes casting shadows over cities. Explosions echoed in the distance, and the cries of frightened people filled the air. But in the midst of the fear, hope flickered in the form of Dr. Alara Quinn and her team. They were ready to unveil their secret weapon, the time dilation cannon. Inside the lab, Alara focused intently on her monitors. Her fingers danced over the controls, and the lights of the cannon pulsed rhythmically. "This is it," she said to her team, her voice steady. "If we can show the Empire the power of this weapon, they might think twice before attacking us again." The time dilation cannon was unlike anything the universe had ever seen. It was designed to manipulate time, slowing down objects caught in its beam. Ilara had spent years perfecting it, and now it was their only hope against the Empire. "Get ready to activate it," she instructed her team. "We need to aim for their flagship." Outside, the Empire was relentless. General Zarek was growing impatient. His forces had already taken several cities, and he was eager to crush the humans completely. "Why haven't we received any word from the ground?" he barked at his officers. "Find those humans and make them pay for their defiance." As the general issued his orders, a shimmering beam of light shot up into the sky from Alara's lab. It was the time dilation cannon coming to life. The team watched in awe as the beam arced toward the Empire's flagship, which loomed above the city like a dark cloud. Alara's heart raced. This was the moment they had worked so hard for. "Lock on target!" she commanded, her voice filled with excitement. The cannon's sensors zoomed in on the flagship, and the technicians adjusted the controls. "Now! Fire!" Alara shouted, and the cannon unleashed its power. The beam struck the flagship, wrapping it in a radiant light. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. The Empire's ships paused mid-flight, their movements slowed to a crawl. Inside the flagship, the crew stared in disbelief as their instruments went haywire. General Zarek gripped the edge of his command table, his eyes wide with shock. "What is happening?" he yelled. "What have they done?" The Empire's forces were thrown into chaos. Soldiers were unable to react, and their weapons fired uselessly into the air. The humans had turned the tide of battle with just one shot. Alara and her team watched from the lab, their hearts pounding with hope. They had done it. They had shown the Empire what Earth was capable of. "Keep firing!" Alara ordered. "We need to maintain the beam." The team worked together, adjusting the cannon's settings to keep the time dilation beam locked onto the flagship. With each passing second, the Empire's fear grew. They had never faced a weapon like this before. As the beam held steady, Alara spoke to her team, her voice filled with determination. "We need to send a message. Let's show them that humanity will not be ruled." They quickly prepared to send a broadcast to the Empire, one that would echo across the galaxy. The screen flickered to life, showing Alara's determined face. "This is Dr. Alara Quinn of Earth," she declared, her voice strong. "You have underestimated us for too long. We will not submit to your tyranny. The time dilation cannon is just the beginning of what we can do." Back on the flagship, Zarek seethed with anger. "They dare to defy us? Prepare the countermeasures. We will crush them." But as he shouted his orders, he could feel the fear settling in among his crew. The Empire had always been powerful, but now they were facing something they had never expected, a united humanity. Ilara's message sent ripples through the Empire. Across the fleet, soldiers exchanged nervous glances. They were beginning to realize that this battle was different. Humans were not the weak creatures they had assumed. They were fierce and resourceful. As the time dilation cannon continued to shine brightly, a new hope spread among Earth's defenders. They had turned the tide, showing the Empire their strength and determination. Alara knew that the battle was far from over, but today they had won a significant victory. With the cannon in action, the humans had not only defended their home, but also sent a clear message to the Galactic Empire: they would not be silenced. The fight for Earth had just begun, and Dr. Alara Quinn was determined to lead the charge. The sky over Earth was a battlefield. The Galactic Empire's massive ships loomed ominously, while the time dilation cannon glowed brightly from Dr. Alara Quinn's lab. After the successful demonstration of their power, hope surged through the hearts of humanity. But Alara knew that this was just the beginning. The Empire would not back down easily. After the broadcast, Alara gathered her team. "We need to prepare for a counterattack," she said, her voice steady. "The Empire will strike back with everything they have." Her team nodded, their expressions serious but determined. They had seen the Empire's might, and they understood the stakes. Across the globe, people were rallying. Citizens were volunteering to join the fight, and soldiers were being mobilized. The world had united against the common threat. In every city, people trained and prepared, their spirits high. The Empire might have powerful ships, but the humans had something the Empire did not: heart. As the Empire regrouped, Alara and her team worked tirelessly to upgrade the time dilation cannon. They realized they needed to make it even more powerful. "If we can boost its energy output, we might be able to hit multiple targets," one technician suggested. Alara agreed, and they set to work, their hands moving quickly as they modified the cannon. At the same time, Alara organized a strategy meeting with military leaders. They gathered around a large table in a makeshift command center. We need to hit the Empire hard and fast, she explained. We can use the cannon to disable their ships, but we also need ground troops ready to attack. The military leaders nodded in agreement, ready to take the fight to the Empire. As the Empire's fleet prepared for their next assault, Ilara's team finished their upgrades. The time dilation cannon was now even more powerful, capable of affecting multiple targets at once. This is our chance, Ilara said, a spark of excitement in her eyes. If we can take down their flagship and a few other ships, we can create a domino effect that will shake their entire fleet. The moment arrived. The Empire launched their attack, and Ilara's team activated the cannon. The beam shot into the sky, striking the flagship first. Time around the ship began to slow, causing confusion among the crew. Zarek watched in horror as his flagship struggled to move. "What is happening?" he shouted, desperation creeping into his voice.
Fire!
"Fire!" Zarek commanded, but his orders fell on deaf ears as his crew struggled to regain control. Ilara's heart raced with hope as she saw the effect of their weapon. "Now aim for the other ships," she ordered. The team adjusted the cannon settings, and soon beams of light struck other ships, creating chaos within the Empire's ranks. The humans on the ground felt a surge of confidence as they watched the Empire falter. "Let's go!" a commander shouted, leading the troops into battle. Soldiers charged forward, ready to defend their home. The streets that had once been filled with fear were now alive with determination and courage. As the fighting began, Ilara continued to monitor the cannon. The ground troops advanced, taking advantage of the confusion in the Empire's ranks. They used every weapon they had, and the Empire's soldiers struggled to fight back. The humans had transformed from fearful civilians into fierce warriors, driven by the desire to protect their planet. The battle raged on with explosions lighting up the sky. Ilara watched in awe as her fellow humans fought bravely. She could see the Empire ships being disabled one by one. Zarek was losing control of his fleet, and his face twisted with fury. "This is unacceptable," he screamed, his voice echoing through the flagship. "We will crush them!" But the humans were no longer afraid. They had proven their strength, and they were determined to win. Ilara felt a sense of pride as she observed the fight from the lab. Every shot fired, every move made was a step toward freedom. As the sun began to set, the battle continued with fierce intensity. The Empire was on the back foot, and the humans pressed forward. The time dilation cannon glowed bright, a beacon of hope amid the chaos. Ilara knew that they had changed the course of the battle. But this was only the beginning. The fight had truly begun, and humanity was ready to show the Galactic Empire that they would not back down. They were no longer just a small planet in the galaxy. They were a force to be reckoned with, and they were willing to fight for their future. The battlefield stretched out before Ilara Quinn and her team, chaos enveloping the city. The once vibrant streets were now filled with smoke and debris, the echoes of battle ringing in their ears. The time dilation cannon continued to hum with power, but Ilara knew that time was running out. The Galactic Empire was regrouping, and they were planning one final assault. Inside the makeshift command center, Ilara turned to her team. "We've made significant progress, but we need to be prepared for their counterattack," she said, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. Her team nodded, determination on their faces. They were ready to fight until the end. The Empire's flagship loomed above them, still struggling to regain full control after being hit by the time dilation cannon. General Zarek was furious, his patience wearing thin. "Prepare the full might of the fleet," he ordered, slamming his fist on the command table. "We will crush these humans once and for all." As the Empire's ships began to mobilize, Ilara made a decision. "We need to put everything we have into one last attack. If we can disable their flagship, we can demoralize the entire fleet," she told her team. They quickly worked to maximize the cannon's power, aware that this was their chance to turn the tide for good. The streets outside were filled with soldiers preparing for the worst. The atmosphere was electric, a mix of fear and determination. Many had lost loved ones, homes, and comfort. They had witnessed the Empire's brutality and were not about to let it continue. "We fight for our families, our future," a commander shouted, rallying the troops. As the Empire's ships moved into position, Ilara felt a wave of anxiety wash over her. She knew that this was a do-or-die moment. She glanced at her team, seeing the resolve in their eyes. "This is it," she said. "Let's show them what humanity is capable of." With a deep breath, Ilara activated the cannon. The beam shot up into the sky, illuminating the darkening clouds. "Aim for the flagship," she shouted. The team worked quickly, adjusting the settings to maximize the impact. The cannon fired again, striking the flagship with incredible force. Inside the flagship, Zarek struggled to maintain control. Alarms blared, and the ship shook violently. "Redirect power to the shields," he commanded, panic creeping into his voice. But the humans were relentless. The cannon fired again, and the beam connected with another ship, causing chaos to erupt throughout the fleet. On the ground, the soldiers charged forward, emboldened by the cannon's power. "We will not back down!" they yelled as they engaged the Empire's forces. The air was filled with the sounds of battle, explosions, shouts, and the clash of weapons. Humanity was united, fighting for their survival. As the battle raged on, Ilara monitored the cannon closely. They had to maintain their focus and not let up. She saw through her monitors that several of the Empire's ships were falling, their lights flickering out. But she also knew that the Empire was not easily defeated. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the lab. "We're under attack!" one of the technicians shouted. The Empire had sent ground troops to eliminate the humans at the source. Ilara's heart raced. "We need to hold them off," she yelled, grabbing a weapon and moving to defend her team. Outside, the fight intensified. The Empire's soldiers pressed forward, and the humans fought back with everything they had. Each side was determined to win, but the humans had a fire within them. They fought for their homes, their families, and their planet. Back in the lab, the team worked frantically to defend their position while keeping the cannon operational. Ilara shouted orders, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Focus on the cannon! We cannot let them destroy it!" As the Empire's ground troops closed in, Ilara felt a surge of fear but also of hope. They had come so far and they were not about to give up now. With one final push, she activated the cannon once more. The beam shot out, striking the flagship directly and causing a massive explosion. The flagship erupted in a brilliant display of light, and the Empire's forces faltered. General Zarek watched in horror as his ship was destroyed. "Retreat!" he ordered, panic taking over. The Empire's fleet began to scatter, and Ilara felt a rush of triumph. But the battle was not yet won. The Empire would not give up easily, and they would regroup. Ilara and her team knew that they had won a significant victory, but the fight was far from over. They had stood strong against a powerful foe, but as the smoke cleared and the sounds of battle faded, they understood that their last stand was only the beginning of a much larger fight for freedom. Together, they would face whatever came next, united in their resolve to protect their home and their future. The battlefield lay quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos that had unfolded just hours before. Smoke curled into the sky, mingling with the debris of what had once been the Galactic Empire's powerful fleet. The humans had won a decisive victory, but the threat was not yet over. In the heart of the Empire's flagship, General Zarek seethed with anger and humiliation. "Prepare the escape pods!" he shouted, his voice filled with desperation. His officers scrambled to follow his orders, fear evident on their faces. "We cannot allow ourselves to be captured by these humans!" But deep down, Zarek knew that defeat was unavoidable. The humans had shown strength and courage that he had not anticipated. Meanwhile, Ilara Quinn stood in the command center, watching the aftermath of the battle. Her heart swelled with pride as she saw her fellow soldiers celebrating their hard-won victory. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious. Yet a sense of unease nagged at her. She understood that the Empire would not give up easily. As the dust settled, the surviving ships of the Galactic Empire began to retreat. The humans cheered, but Ilara knew better than to let her guard down. "We need to send a message," she said, her voice steady. "Let's contact their remaining fleet and demand their surrender." The team nodded, and they quickly sent a communication to the Empire's forces. On the flagship, Zarek listened in disbelief, as Ilara's voice echoed through the speakers. "This is Dr. Ilara Quinn of Earth. We demand your immediate surrender. Your forces are defeated, and further resistance is futile." Zarek's face turned red with fury. He could not accept that he had been bested by what he once considered insignificant beings. "Shut that woman up," he roared, but his officers hesitated. They knew the truth. They were losing. As the humans continued to press their advantage, Zarek realized that he had no choice. "We must beg for mercy," he muttered, a bitter taste in his mouth. Ilara's communication continued. "You have lost. Your ships are damaged and your troops are demoralized. The time has come for you to recognize our strength and stop this madness." Her words rang clear, and Zarek could feel the walls closing in around him. Finally, Zarek made a decision. "Open a channel to the humans," he ordered reluctantly. As the connection was established, Zarek's voice came through, trembling with anger. "Dr. Quinn," he said, trying to maintain a facade of strength, "we are prepared to negotiate our surrender, but know that we will not go quietly." Alara felt a rush of triumph, but remained cautious. "You have no leverage, General. Your forces are in disarray and your ships are crippled. If you surrender now, we can ensure the safety of your remaining crew." Zarek hesitated, realizing that Alara was right. He had no choice but to accept defeat. As the communication ended, Alara turned to her team. "Prepare to welcome our guests. We need to make it clear that this is a new beginning for both humans and the remnants of the Galactic Empire." The team nodded, their spirits high as they prepared for what was to come. Meanwhile, Zarek's officers were filled with dread. "What will happen to us?" one asked, his voice trembling. Zarek's expression was grim. "We will face whatever consequences await us. We must appear strong even in defeat." The Empire's remaining ships limped toward Earth, a symbol of their shattered power. As they approached, Alara's team prepared for their arrival, ready to negotiate a new path forward. The atmosphere was tense, filled with uncertainty and hope. When the ships docked, a contingent of Empire soldiers disembarked, led by a defeated General Zarek. His shoulders were slumped, and he wore the expression of a man who had lost everything. "We come to surrender," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "We seek mercy." Alara stepped forward, her heart racing. "You have been given a chance to start anew. We do not seek vengeance but cooperation." Zarek looked up, surprise etched on his face. "You would spare us? Only if you agree to a ceasefire and pledge not to harm Earth again," she replied firmly. The general nodded, humbled by the human's unexpected compassion. "We accept your terms." As the negotiations continued, Alara felt a sense of relief wash over her. The war was not truly over, but a new chapter had begun. They would work together to rebuild what had been lost. The Galactic Empire, once a force of oppression, was now humbled and seeking a new path. And humanity had proven that they were more than just a small planet in the galaxy. They were a force to be reckoned with, ready to shape their destiny. In the end, Alara knew that this was just the beginning. Together, they would forge a future built on cooperation and understanding, proving that even in the darkest times, hope could prevail.